Okay, next we're going to explore ways that we can have the microbit communicate with another microbit. To communicate with another microbit, we use the radio library. Bluetooth is used to communicate from the microbit to a Bluetooth-enabled device, such as a phone or a laptop. And the radio functions are used to communicate between microbits. So to use those, if you don't see radio in this area by default, you may need to install the extension. So the extensions are in Advanced, Extensions, and look for the pink block that says radio. It'll say it's incompatible with Bluetooth. That's fine, just add radio. And now Bluetooth is gone and you just have radio with the little bar graph next to it. So in order to use the radio, it's really easy, and there's some really simple blocks in here to use. The first important one is radio set group. Radio set group sets you to a channel, much in the way that old school walkie-talkies had different channels on them from like 0 to 15. The radio group in the microbits, if I remember right, yeah, it's a number anywhere from 1 to 255. So just pick a unique number between your microbits and the other microbits that you want to communicate with, and they're all set to the same group, so you won't have any crosstalk between microbits. So I'll set mine to 95, and any microbits I want to talk to will have group 95. Now to send a message, let's choose an input to send a message. So we'll choose maybe button A. And in order to send a message to other microbits, you're going to broadcast it using the radio functions. And there's several types of messages you can send. You can send either a number, or you can send a string, which is text, or you can send both text and a number. Notice there are received blocks that match each of those three. So there's send string, receive string, send number, receive number, and then send name or string and number, and then there's receive name value, string and number. So you can send one or the other or both. So just make sure that your send blocks and your receive blocks match each other. So let's say I want to send both a name and a number. So, and this will send my name and then the number 1. So my microbits can have a function in them that when they receive a message that has that name and that number, then they'll do a certain behavior. So I will go to radio, and get a on radio received name value. So you don't change these blocks here, don't change name and value, but we'll use some logic blocks inside to see what name and value are equal to. So go to logic and get an if-then. Okay, and then for this little hexagon that says true, we'll go to logic again and get the quotation marks equals quotation marks. So we'll look for a name match. So, and then this is where we grab the red variable called name. You can see this variable only shows up inside this input block. You're not going to see it inside variables. This is a special kind of variable that's only used inside this C-shaped block. I'll put name inside this part of the if, and then inside this part I'll say Dawn. So if my microbit receives a radio message that has the name Dawn, then I'll have it do some behavior, like maybe it will show a happy face because it's happy to get a message from Dawn. But if it gets a message from another person, let's duplicate this if block and put it down here, and let's say name equals Bob. Then it will show a different icon, like maybe a, oh gosh, which face should we show for Bob? We'll show a duck. So if it receives the message with name Bob, it will show a duck, and if it receives a message with name Dawn, it will show the happy face. So let's round this out by, if we go to our input and we push button B, so we'll get an on button B pressed, then if that's the case, it will send the radio value Bob equals 1. So button A will send one type of message and button B will send the other. When I start running this program, so if I push button, there you go, it shows another microbit, so you get the simulator. So in this microbit, if I push button A, it sends a message to the other one. It sent the name Dawn, so there's a happy face knowing that it got a message from Dawn. And then when I push button B, the second microbit receives the message that's Bob, and it shows a duck. Both microbits have the same program on them in the simulator, so button A here sends Don to that microbit, and button B sends Bob to that microbit. And they'll send messages to all microbits that have that same group number. You can add more logic statements in here. So, for example, if name equals Don and value equals 1, then you can show one icon, but if name equals Don and value equals a different number, you can show a different icon. So I encourage you to play around with the radio functions and send secret messages to each other. And one other block I want to notice here is that the radio functions can also show you how strong the packet is. So one way that you can use this is that when you receive a packet with the name and the value, maybe one thing I want to do is just show how strong the signal is. So I'll say show number, and then say received packet signal strength. So when I push a button, before it shows the duck, for example, it's going to show how strong the signal is. And you can experiment with moving your microbits further and closer together and playing with that signal strength. And you could use your microbits along with if statements to show if the signal strength is greater than or less than a certain number, then you'll get certain behaviors on the microbit. So you could even turn it into like a little scavenger hunt where you can try to find a microbit and use the signal strength to determine where it is. So those are just some things that you can play around with, and I'd like to see you create your own original program that uses the radio to either send messages or use the signal strength to accomplish a task. Good luck!